It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was the right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized in this. Get right on it, Chief.
To the mayor's office. And now, behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are alive!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KFTX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry. Not here yesterday on Manic Monday. Sorry about that, but I had a little to-do list that I had to get to that ran through the 12 o'clock hour. But Taco Tuesday, is here with Robert Bullet Bob Leoni. Welcome, Bullet.
Thank you.
And I'm better than I deserve, as always, man. Better than I deserve.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think Coach Chewy, he's ready for Taco Tuesday, isn't he? Chewy, you ready for Taco Tuesday?
That's really Howard Dean, isn't it?
That's my Chewy. Love me some Chewy.
You got it. I love his
Tuesdays.
excitement. I mean, he's
He
psyched
lives
up.
for this show.
He really does.
There's not much to do in that part of Ensenada. He's just kind of hanging out, playing with the prairie dogs and hanging out there. He told me he loves this show. We got to have Chewy on one of these days. People think that Chewy's not a real character, not a real person. We're going to beg to differ. We're going to interview. Okay. I don't think you can Zoom where he is, though.
Well, he
can't live in a remote part
of internet connection
of Mexico.
He lives in a real remote area.
But boy, he loves this show. We love Chewy. Oh gosh, where do we start?
Hey, by the way,
yes.
before we get too far along, I have a request of the Honorable Mr. Marino.
Okay.
Can he get me a chair with some armrests?
Boy, are you? I'm supposed to be the spoiled, pampered actor.
Because
What do you come in here first? You want toilet paper that your fingers don't go through when you wipe. Then you want water. You want stinking water. Now
and
you
to
want
top it off,
a chair with arms on it.
Yeah.
Golly, man. You're like, Alec Baldwin on the set. I'd like my water room temperature, please, with lime. We'll talk
Stay
about
off
it.
my lawn.
I don't like the confined. I told you I got claustrophobia bad. I don't really like the arms. I mean, we can get you a couple arms.
Well,
I'll talk to him.
I'm just afraid one day I'll just fall off.
I ever thought about that.
and Haas is going to sit there saying,
I got to do
okay.
What are you going to do? And we're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep broadcasting.
No, he'll get up eventually.
Except we'll cut away when I say, I'm going to do mouth to mouth on him now, folks. This could be ugly. And then we'll have Jeremy cut away then.
I just don't want to fall off the chair.
I think about that a lot. No, I think talk about
falling off the chair.
Well, no, when I was doing the State of the City address, how traumatic it would be for some kids. I mean, there. What if I just face planted, just bought the big one, and or they died in the middle?
Oh,
or in the middle of a scene like here on this show. More of a thing, boy. That'd be my only chance to go viral if I die on camera on social media.
Now that was a special act.
That's my only chance.
Hard to top that.
My talent, my subject matter, nothing can go viral. I have nothing in my bag other than death. If I die,
okay.
You'll just
anyway.
Well, maybe I'll do that on my last show.
No, would you stop?
Hey, listen. Okay, on the coming here. You try to do the right thing, and sometimes it kind of backfires. But in terms
what you do now?
Well, I tried to make somebody feel okay today on the freeway.
Oh, well, on the freeway.
Yes.
Well,
I'm
that's
on
hard
the
to do in
freeway.
Fresno.
Coming here. Well, as far as freeways goes, we're not really bad, Robert. Right? You've been on LA freeways.
Oh, well.
A traffic jam is downtown Fresno is like a couple of cars pulling out of Club One. And they have to wait for the stoplight. That's our Fresno traffic jam. Although it is getting worse. It's getting worse. No, but I'm on the freeway coming from the gym, and I'm on the freeway, and I see out of the corner of my a big Bud Light delivery truck, and there's a driver obviously driving it, and pulls up, and I'm going, man, I think I saw the look on his face because I glanced over, and it didn't seem like he was a happy camper. It was like when they handed out assignments. Frank, George, you get to drive the regular Bud trucks. Martinez, Smith, you get to deliver the Bud Light today. You get to drive the Bud Light truck. So I drove up next to him, and he was just there like a forlorn look on his face.
Staring straight ahead.
Just like he just did not want to be in that truck. And I look over at him, and I give him the thumbs up, like, hey, hang in there. That's what I'm thinking. And he looks at me like, gee. He just shakes his head and looks. I'm going, I'm just trying to cheer the guy up. Then I realized he probably thinks I'm trans. What? No, he probably thinks I'm trans and trying to pick up on him. I don't know, but think about it. If you're there, you're driving the Bud Light truck, and you don't maybe agree with the politics.
I don't know where you come up
of the politics. Well, no, I wasn't able to have the conversation with him. I just drive up next to him, give him my big old Jethro Bodine smile, my big old 70-year-old self, and give him the thumbs up, like, hey, I like that Bud Light truck thing. But here he probably thinks it, and he just kind of looked at me, shook his head, and just stared straight ahead, man. And then the exit came out.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, I trying to either rub it in or saying, hey.
Don't you imagine he gets a lot of dirty looks and one finger salutes and everything as he's driving throughout the day? Poor guy. I mean, he didn't ask for any of that. I mean, he's just doing his job.
Exactly, just doing his stinking job.
And people are probably giving him every kind of look.
And then there's some people that support him, thinking, hey, way to go. I mean, he just looks so sad, and just trying to cheer him up. I probably made the situation worse. But anyway, I'm sorry if you happen to be listening to KXCX. You know the little encounter. I'm sorry. I meant to just, hey, whatever your political persuasion, hang in there. And maybe you were having that look was a bad day about something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well, good try.
Boycotts, sometimes they work. Most of the time they don't. When you
Mm-hmm.
But apparently this Bud Light boycott has really, really worked in terms of hurting that brand. I mean, I never knew this because I don't drink anymore, so I don't really follow the alcohol sales that much. But Robert, I guess they were the top selling beer of all beers. Was the Bud Light? Hey, Jeremy's nodding yes.
Was that it?
Of all beers, and now
I don't know why. I've had a Bud Light once or twice. I think it's not.
Yeah. Well, I just drank back in the day. I remember when they came out, but I haven't drank in 35, 36 years. But they apparently that was the top choice, confirmed by Jeremy. So you can take that to the bank.
Yeah,
but it's plummeted down to, I think, third or fourth below Coors Light, a couple other light beers, and a Mexican beer has overtaken Bud Light because people are saying, you know what? I love America. And you know what? I like Mexican beer before I'm going to drink a Bud Light.
Which one? Modelo?
I think it's, you might be right.
Was it Modelo, Jeremy?
Or Tecate? One of those Equis.
Those are both pretty good.
Well, I don't always drink beer. But when I do, I drink Dos Equis. Remember the most interesting man in the world?
Yeah, that guy was great.
He was great. Then they replaced him with some dude that was much less interesting. I just said, that's
kind of like the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've lost a quarter, 25% of their sales.
And you're talking billions
of dollars. Yeah.
And they can't, the thing is, when you say it's worked, apparently they've gotten, when boycotts have happened, like we remember back in the day, remember, Robert, when we were kids, Cesar Chavez called for a grape boycott, table grapes?
Yeah.
Apparently that really worked.
Yep.
We didn't have politics on our minds back then. It was about preparing to play the Carruthers Blue Raiders and, will Ned Lee go out with me and, do I have enough guts to, you were making people laugh. But it was a really big issue. And apparently, you do a little research on it and that boycott worked.
Yeah.
People stopped and drew.
Well, this one's working.
This one is working. And I guess the other
really
one.
Hit their bottom line.
Yeah, Target. It's working too with Target. Where they were selling the children's tuck-it wear.
Yeah, in the children's section, yeah.
Tuck it. And basically, the people who don't agree with that told Target, just tuck it. And tuck you while you're at it. Because I am tucking mad. And but that's working. Yep.
Well, when people speak with their pocketbook, that's the only thing these big corporations understand.
Why do you think it's stuck, though?
The Bud Light?
I think they tuck it. When a political movement messes with somebody's kids.
Yeah.
I'm getting another nod. I see Jeremy's forehead. Don't you think, Jeremy, that I think that crosses the Rubicon?
Yeah.
Don't you think, Robert?
Yeah, and I think people are not only that, and I think that's the big reason when you're doing that in the children's section. But I also think people are fed up. It's thrown in our face every day,
regardless of what the issue is.
Every day, And I see there was some. I don't know if you saw this. Maybe you did. Over the weekend, I missed it, so I had to catch it yesterday. Apparently, there were big protests in a lot of the major cities about the LGBTQ plus community and everything else, and they had big protests about no more discrimination, no more violence against this and that and the other. And I missed the whole thing, but apparently there were two guys on a corner in New York City, stark naked, handing out brochures or whatever, and kids are going by. These two guys, and they're standing out there in this protest deal, and that's just wrong. And first of all, how can they not be arrested?
It's New York.
Yeah, well, that was the answer to my question.
The only place you have less of a chance is
San
Francisco of being arrested.
Yeah, I think people are just fed. I know I'm fed up with it.
You think what I think to very level-headed, non-prejudiced, non-biased, bigoted people who just want to get along with every race, every gender, what have you. They just they respect people and their decisions. To say that, hey, I don't want you, anybody, whether it be a teacher or anyone, talking to my 6-year-old or 7-year-old in first grade about their gender and changing their gender from boy to girl to boy, having those discussions of gay marriage or traditional marriage, it doesn't matter. I just don't, that's not your place to be talking to my kid about that. That's my job, my family's job. And when you translate that into homophobia, transphobia, I'm starting to get sick and tired of that. I think a lot of people are saying, and that's why they're getting ready to stand up and say,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, to stand up against that, I'm willing to risk being called a transphobe because you know what? I know I'm not that way. You know, as mayor of Fresno, I made a statement to the gay community. I said, look, I have my faith. I have my thoughts and beliefs. You have yours. But that's only part of who I am. And I'll tell you this, even though whether you share my faith, have a different faith, or have no faith at all, that does not affect me one iota of me providing police service and protection for you in your neighborhood, regardless of what gender, what faith, or no faith. Because you know what? My faith requires that of me, to love all of my brothers and sisters. And we embrace that. You're going to get to say, and if you face discrimination at the workplace as a gay person or trans person, you come to work, you do your job the way it's supposed to be done, and you do it at a level, and somebody wants to fire you simply because of the way you look or who you marry, I'll fight that fight with you. I'll be right there with you. That's discrimination, and I think people, don't you think, Bob? I think to try to get in somebody's mind and say, I know you're racist, when you haven't shown in your life any discriminatory behavior at all, yet you make your mind up that because you're a Christian, let's use that example, then I know you hate gays. I know you hate trans people. You hate anybody that's not a Christian. And it's amazing how many people out there, especially in the political world, making hay off of that and peddling hate on that.
Well, it's just
when it's completely untrue with most people.
And it's also untrue that 70-year-old white guys are not all Donald Trump fans, and we're not far right extremists who want to take us back to the 1850s. It's just not true. But that's the stereotype that has been thrown on us, and you know they don't know anything about you. Well, they know a little bit more about you, but folks, and I have to watch myself the same way. I have to make sure that I don't prejudge somebody and say, well, yeah, you're this and that and this, because I know that they probably do that to me. So, but they don't know me. They don't know the things that I've been through, the experiences that I've had, those life experiences that I've had. Mm-hmm. So it's really unfair to do that and to start labeling people, especially with the term racist. Yeah. That then it's bad stuff.
You know, and I hear some people predominantly, I have to say it, I'm an independent, but predominantly on the left, but I'm sure some right too. But you take people on the left. I've heard so many times on the talking heads on TV, people that I know that are on the left say, you know, you judge this young black man that may live in the bad, so-called bad part of town, in Watts or predominantly black part of town. You make these assumptions because of where they live. Mm-hmm. They wear their pants saggy down over their off their butt. They wear their hat, baseball hat, backwards. They got a little bling on them, and they have a walk that's distinctively a rap gait, if you will, that they've seen the rappers. And you think automatically that person's a gang member. Now, there's people who probably look at all that and say that. But let me just kind of do a whataboutism, as the left likes to call it, flip a little bit. So you see you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a young man drives up in a pickup truck with a shotgun on a gun rack back of his truck. He's wearing a John Deere baseball cap, chewing a little Skoal tobacco, comes out wearing America, love it or leave it shirt. Would you not say to yourself, that's a conservative, racist bigot? Some people would look at that based on that. You don't know them. You're just judging by what you've heard a racist looks like. You've listened to the propaganda that anybody who has a pickup truck in the South that's white, that goes to church, who, as I said, chews tobacco, what have you, hangs out at the old Logan's Roadhouse, Cracker Barrel, on Saturday night, listen to the George Jones. That person hates black people. It does skew both ways, doesn't it, Robert?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
The presumption's there. We got to get past that.
Well, and I'm working on that. I mean, I try every day. No, not to prejudge.
Well, we're going to take go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I just have to. It's a I'm a work in progress. Even at 70.
I think we all are till the day we die, aren't we?
Till
but that old thing, that old thing we've heard. It's an old cliche. It's been around a long time. You don't hear much now because it was used so often. But dadgummit, it doesn't make it less true. And that is the statement: don't judge a book by its cover. Read the book. The book may have a cover that you think that's the most disinteresting book to me ever. You may love the desert and hate the ocean. You hate water. And on the cover of that's a picture of the ocean. And you say, I'm not going to like that book. Well, it might mean, let's talk about the oceans of thought that run through you when you're in the desert. You might find, but you're never going to read that book because you don't like the cover. And there's a lot of science that goes into that cover art when they're trying to get to a certain segment of the population. Now, they used to do that with VHS tapes and DVD. The cover art to get somebody to buy
a big business
was like these predeterminations that people have in their mind about people and subjects and that sort of thing. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, have you heard of a young man? Wasn't on what I text you, but I know you want to talk about this.
Oh, here we go.
Shohei Ohtani. Does that name ring a bell? To some of you, probably it doesn't. But it's an amazing story we're going to talk about. Very interesting story. And when you come back, we're going to tell you who Shohei Ohtani is.
Oh.
We'll be right back.
I'm going to scratch my nose. Oh, yeah.
Well,
now you know the rest of the story.
Good day,
you don't have to spill
Paul Harvey. Good day.
Now.
What's that?
You don't have to spill the beans now. You can wait till we come back.
Oh, let's talk. Should we talk about the bee right now? People seem to like this when we talk about our days. But I'm sorry, I didn't bring my.
We got 2 minutes, 20 seconds left.
I'm sorry, folks that are watching. I did not bring my laptop. We were able to interact with you folks. I've already had my butt chewed out by Bob. Here, because he goes, you didn't bring your laptop. Oh, gosh. And then I put my wallet right on the laptop. So when I grab my wallet, I go, oh, I need to bring my laptop. I just grabbed my wallet and left. But I had to
70
make
years old, folks. He forgets stuff even when it's right in front of him.
I don't either. Who are you?
I did that.
How did you get in my studio?
How'd you get my phone
Mr.
number?
Arms on the armchair.
Hey.
He's going to get you. He's going to hear about this and get you one.
Well, hey, that's okay.
If he doesn't, I will. We want to make you happy. Happy Leoni is a brilliant Leoni.
I'm here for 2 hours a week, so it is important.
We want it to make the most restful, peaceful 2 hours of your day.
Well, while you're at it then, let's go.
Little foot massager. We can go down there at the Thai massage, have a lady come in and rub your feet while we're doing the show. Have you ever had that Thai massage?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's great. My son turned me on to it. It's different than your regular massage. It's deep tissue.
Mm-hmm.
The Thais
they really push you.
Oh yeah, they stand on your back.
But I heard that
they walk on your back.
A couple of days after you're done.
No,
really?
Great.
1 minute.
Great.
Well, I need something on
because they're usually pretty light. You don't get a big Thai person. You get. You
don't want somebody to tie one.
You want small Thai. They're small Thai.
And then there's a bow tie.
Now, see, now people would get onto me for saying most of the Thai women that I've seen are small. Charles Barkley gets in trouble because he says, seems like all the women in San Antonio are large. She's big women. So they're pretty women in San Antonio, but they ain't big. I'm telling you, they're big in San Antonio. They like that Krispy Kreme. And they, he didn't get in trouble.
But anyway, it's really good. I'd try it, folks, if you, especially the guys out there, if you like a deep tissue, Thai is the way to go. James Marple's not in Texas. I don't know if they'd have a Thai
10
massage
seconds?
where James lives there in Texas. Okay. My favorite water.
Tastes like the little.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome back to Taco Tuesday. It's old Alan Autry, or what's left of him after 8 years as mayor and 35 years in Hollywood. Ain't much left, but what there is left
At
is
18
here
years of river.
for your viewing and audio enjoyment. Welcome back with
This
Bullet
is
Bob
as good as it
Leoni.
gets, folks. I gotta tell you.
Bullet Bob. Okay.
So what do you want to talk about? Shohei Ohtani?
Okay, folks. Does that name ring a bell? If you're not a baseball fan, I'm not going to blame you. If you've heard of Babe Ruth, probably a lot of you, and not even baseball fans, Reggie Jackson, today Mike Trout, you can go on, maybe have heard that name. But a fellow named Shohei Ohtani, that shows you
Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani from Japan,
Easy for you.
is performing something that is nothing less than one of the most miraculous, amazing things in the history of all sports. This man in baseball, let me explain a little bit to those who don't follow baseball. If you play Major League Baseball, you are a pitcher or a hitter. The last guy who did it both was Babe Ruth, basically, who did it at any level of excellence. He was a great pitcher, great hitter. But even after a while, they said, look, we need this guy in the lineup every day. We can't have him work on his pitching. He should concentrate on his hitting. His pitching's too good. So he became a hitter and became the legendary Babe Ruth. Held the single season record for home runs and the lifetime record for many, many, many years. Well, Shohei Ohtani from Japan has a chance, a really good chance. Now hang on to this. This guy is on a pace to have a really good chance of winning the Cy Young Award. That is an award that goes to the best pitcher in baseball, the Cy Young Award. He now, I think, is 7-2 with a 2.12 or something ERA, that's earned run average, just very, very low. He's got way more strikeouts than he has innings pitched, which is hard to do. He's right up there in the upper echelon of the top 4 or 5 pitchers that you would mention. In addition, he's leading the major leagues in home runs. He's leading the major leagues in home runs. When he's not working on his pitch, he's got 26.
62 RBIs, batting .297.
Well, let me take this a step further, and I want your opinion on it. He's got a chance. I mean, a real pathway to win the Cy Young, the home run title, and the Triple Crown.
Well,
what's his batting average?
.297.
Well, he could get he's very fast. He also steals bases. This guy they call Giannis Antetokounmpo the Greek freak. This is a freak of nature, the likes of which Major League Baseball has never seen. Yep. You will probably see him get at least $500 million for the contract. He's going to break all the records for salary in Major League Baseball coming because his contract's about to be that. So I ask you this. Number one, most of you never heard. Number two, have you looked at his endorsees? Because I've sat here behind this microphone and mourned and lamented the fact that politics runs everything nowadays. And in particular, China and the big corporations that do business with China have tremendous power, and these corporations bow to the whims and wishes of China. Just ask Richard Gere, who got banned from Hollywood. They want into that market, those over 1 billion people. They want their movies into Chinese market, whatever Chinese Communist Party says they do. LeBron James, sneakers made there, whatever China wants, they get. When they say speak out, he speaks out. He says shut up, he shuts up. So they have tremendous control. Nike has a history of getting the top athlete. If you shine like LeBron James, Nike's going to get you. They're going to wave so much money at you, they're going to get you. They proudly and I think arrogantly point that out. There's not going to be really they basically own college football with a little swoosh. They're all the major athletes. Kevin Durant, down the line the NBA and baseball, football, same deal. But Shohei Ohtani, Nike has never even made a venture towards him. Why?
Why is that?
Why? He has a shoe deal with New Balance. New Balance. Well, that interested me. So when he's got a lot of endorsements, and I looked into it.
Yeah.
All of endorsements, New Balance, Nike is made in China. Okay. New Balance is made in the USA, United States of America. You look at his other endorsements, Ohtani, mostly Japanese companies.
Yeah.
Okay. You're looking at them now. Not anything from China. So why is that? Well, here's my theory. Japan will not bow at the communist Chinese altar. There's also a lot of animosity and anger left over from World War II because of the atrocities Japan perpetrated on the Chinese people. They were ruthless. I mean, that was a very bad time in Japanese history, and the Japanese people are the first to admit that. So you got that there. But you also have Japan who says, no. Ohtani, I'm sure, is saying, I'm going to speak out on behalf of the interest of my home country, Japan. And so if you're pro-Japan and you speak out as pro-Japan, you're not going to get a company to endorse you that does any business with China. Am I onto something or not?
Well, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. But if you're going to have somebody, if you're going to have a star athlete endorse something, or if you're a star athlete, you want that person, whoever that person may be, you want them to endorse your product. Yeah, the guy's the biggest thing going in the baseball world. I mean, he's one of the top athletes in the world.
By far.
So, that raises an interest. Why wouldn't you want him endorsing whatever product you have? That's interesting. Interesting thought. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and you're sitting there. Well, it's easy once you say, "Oh, it's politics." Yes, when China sends a missile test over Japan to intimidate them, and Ohtani, being a patriot of Japan, ever says, "Hey, I don't like that," China's done with you, and therefore Nike would be done with you. You have to shut up in terms of Japan. I mean, China. As Laura Ingraham said to LeBron James, shut up and dribble. He took offense to that, and he should have. He has a right to speak out. And you have a right to be a puppet and be muted by China, even if they betray your principles of humanity, of humane treatment of all people when they oppress people of a different race, which LeBron, you, Durant, a bunch of the NBA folks and NFL players say you're against. You do have the right to be selective on that. If China says, don't say anything about how we're treating Uyghurs, don't say anything about Tiananmen Square, don't mention that, our abuse of human rights, or we're going to take your contract. You have a right to say, okay, Mr. Xi Jinping, I will be silent. But we also have a right, us, to call you out on that. We have a right to criticize that, to call you duplicitous, to call you hypocritical. When David Murray, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, took up for Taiwan and Hong Kong, and he took holy you-know-what from China, and LeBron, you were given free reign. Why? You got the phone call. Go out and criticize him. And you said that David Murray needs to educate himself about the issue. Oh, my gosh, LeBron. And I think there's some good things in LeBron, really great things. Probably think he's a great guy. But you're not well-read on that. I'm not calling you're a very smart guy. You're a billionaire. That doesn't mean you're well-read on a, or if you are, you don't really care what the facts are because you're making money and that's the hand that feeds you.
Misinformed. Yeah.
So I just think that's what's going on.
That's an interesting concept. I've never really thought about that, but wouldn't you want the greatest player in the world to endorse your stuff?
And he doesn't get the notoriety even here at home by ESPN. I mean, this is a remarkable journey this guy's on. I mean, people thought that would be just impossible to be a top tier, if not the best pitcher and the best hitter in baseball at the same time.
That's almost amazing. Well, you know, when he first came over, because he played a few years in Japan.
Yep.
And there's always that stigma that the Japan professional league is about one step below. It would equate, they say, to American AAA.
Oh, really?
But I've seen some of those games. These guys are good ball players.
Yeah, they are.
Obviously, there's been a lot of
won the world championship.
Been a lot of Japanese players that have played here. The first, of course, was Masanori Murakami with the Giants in 1964.
For the Giants.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot when he first came over, there was a big splash. They said, this guy, you're not going to believe this guy. A lot of hype. And of course, everybody says, well, let's take a step back and see what we've got here. He's from Japan. We've never seen him play. I mean, obviously the Angels saw him play because they hired him. But he can hit home runs and he can pitch and he's the best pitcher in the league and all of this guy. Let's step. You know what those same people are saying now?
Yeah.
This guy's for real.
Yeah.
He's the real deal.
Because he's not only making it, he's dominating.
Yeah, he's the big Mac. Yeah, well, exactly.
Dominating.
Exactly. 26 homers, not even at the All-Star.
100-mile-per-hour fastball and a curve that drops off the table. They just can't. He's making these major league hitters look like fools up there. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it. He's not only doing okay and playing at a major league level, he is dominating.
Yeah, he's excelling
as a pitcher and a hitter. The most feared pitcher in Major League Baseball and the most feared hitter. Right now, we're experiencing that, and you don't hear anything about it.
Not really.
Pretty crazy. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Wagner Group, the Wagner Group. You say Wagner, I say Wagner. Anyway, we're going to talk about this group and what happened with this so-called insurrection in Russia, and I want to get Bullet Bob's thoughts on that. And I promise I'm going to do my best, folks, to remember that laptop so you can interact tomorrow on Big Wednesday. I'm going to do my best. But this is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back. That's one of our era songs.
Is it? Hey, Jeremy, what was that song? Do you have that?
Good love with you.
Good try. Oh, hey, how you doing?
I do know that song.
Sure. Well, Jeremy's looking it up.
Rolls Royce, I want to get next to you.
I want to get
Rolls Royce. When was that? That was like 1985 or something.
No, that was earlier than that. No, as Curly was saying. No.
Hey, Mo.
Hey. What do you want?
I just saw some.
Knucklehead. What do we got there? We got we says computers.
1976.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I thought it might even be the 60s. Proposed Fresno infrastructure budget.
Hey, well, they're getting their $250 million, according to that. Distributed over 3 years.
You got the $50 million this year. When that budget deficit grows, if you read the fine print, nothing is guaranteed outside of this year. And then you get that in chunks anyway, even this year. Yeah. I mean, if they get it, they're able to pull it. But it's just hush money. Hush money for what? When he runs for president.
Oh,
yeah, you pay hush money. You know, you got a charismatic, or used to be charismatic mayor. You know, then now he's able to shut him up when he runs for mayor, not say any bad things about how he's let AB 109 make this the most unsafe state in the country. Yeah, I just lost a consulting deal based on my politics.
You did?
Yeah.
You were going to consult something?
No, I've been consulting for years. Good organization. But
1 minute?
One thing you don't do now, you don't constructively criticize the mayor, the city, or the state.
Oh.
And you just got to be...
What?
You got to be ready. You got to get those lips to put those...
So free speech is...
Well, the good folks, it's just they don't understand that when you do make a principled stand with city government, state government, you wind up getting more of what you deserve, not less. Because if you're willing to speak out and stay strong, they wind up giving in to that. to a much further degree than, bully. When they bully you, they don't just stop because you say, please don't. When you pop up and say back, they get respect for you if you fight them back.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to know how to fight. And I figured out how to do that.
10 seconds.
But, in today's world, it's
tough.
But I have said there's a price to pay for standing up what you believe. And now I got to walk my own talk.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
All right. Many moons ago, probably second month into this war in the Ukraine, I mentioned a guy by the name of Yevgeny Prigozhin. And I said this guy was going to be a major player. When I said that name, many people said, you stepped in what? I said Yevgeny Prigozhin. He was the leader of a group called the Wagner Group. If you're in America, if you're over in Eastern Europe, it's the Wagner Group, like the music guy, Wagner, composer, Wagner. So, but anyway, we know what we're talking about. This private army, basically, is what Prigozhin put together. Been operating for years and years and years, very successfully, not only in Russia and Ukraine during the Crimean War, but also Africa, South America. It's got a lot of branches. And basically,
mercenaries,
they go
and
into
not the most high-quality individuals in the world.
That's what they say. Yeah. If you decide you want to quit, they just take a sledgehammer between your eyes and do it on videotape, show it on videotape, and send this to any, it's the mafia. You're in, but don't try to get out.
Yeah, that kind of controls the desertion rate really quick.
But they have been very effective. They're the outfit that Putin sent down to Mariupol to run out the Azov Brigade, the Nazi organization of the Ukraine, which there was or still is a certain group of Nazis, in which Zelensky freely says, yeah, I don't agree with a lot of what they believe, but they're good soldiers and they love Ukraine, so you make moral deals with them. But they went down and pretty much wiped out the Azov battalion there in Mariupol. But this guy Prigozhin decided he wasn't being treated fairly by Putin. Said, we're not getting ammunition. We're here in Bakhmut. We're burrowed down. We're losing people. We're taking the city, but we're losing too many people. We're not getting the equipment we need. And we're ticked off. And by the way, some of the Russian planes fired, or artillery fired on our group. The Wagner Group killed some people. So we shot down some helicopters. And we're so ticked off, we're coming to Moscow to make a point. So they jumped in, they loaded up the truck, and they were heading to Beverly, man, with tanks and howitzers, 25,000 men going towards Moscow.
I understand they covered like 500 miles.
Faster, they say, than any military movement in modern history.
Pretty good movement.
So Putin's sitting there going, they're getting here, and they're getting here fast. But at the last moment, Prigozhin calls it off and says, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to go to Belarus. It's Alexander Lukashenko, who's a close friend of Putin, called him and said, hey, let's make a deal. Mm-hmm. Apparently he did. He went to Belarus. He's there right now, helping Lukashenko. Was that Alexander Lukashenko? Anyway,
something like
I'll work on it. The president of Belarus. He's there, and Putin is absorbing whoever wants to leave the Wagner Group into the regular Russian military. That's happening. He still says the initial reports were that Prigozhin was not going to be prosecuted. All charges were going to be dropped. But Putin said not so fast. He's still going to file criminal charges against him, Prigozhin. And here's the sticker. Prigozhin has been a right-hand confidant and friend of Putin for what, Bob?
Big
20, 30 years?
Big buddy, long time.
Was started out as his caterer. And to this day, Prigozhin never said anything bad about Putin. It was this Gerasimov and the Shogun guy, that a couple of generals that he just detested. And he wanted them. So it became, I believe, Putin, you pick. Between the Russian army or this guy. And he picked. What do you think happened to change Prigozhin's mind? What's your...
Well, the lead that we get is that he felt his troops were just being sacrificed.
Why did he call it off? That's my
why did he
question.
call this?
Yeah, why he's heading there?
Yeah,
then it turns. That's what's confounding a lot of the political pundits. That's the big thing on the table to discuss. Nobody seems to know for sure. Why did this guy, from one perspective, say turn tail and run, and the others say, hey, he whatever. What he was. That's not his MO.
I'm not sure. Well, I guess. Are you convinced? Let me ask you this, because this was my question. Are you convinced that he and his group were on the way to overthrow Putin?
No, I think he was making Putin make a choice. Putin has a history of playing both sides of the fence. In fact, the reason he loved the Wagner group, they could go over and fight over in Africa to defend the Russian interests there because they're a private army. He could say, I'm not there. That's not me stirring stuff up. Wagner gave him great plausible deniability to do his nefarious mischief all over the world. So he did not want to see Prigozhin do what it. I simply think that Prigozhin lost his mind. I think he pulled a Colonel Kurtz. You ever see Apocalypse Now?
It's been a while.
Well, it was a rogue army. Marlon Brando played this character, Colonel Kurtz.
That's right.
In the jungles of Vietnam that had this private army. And they did things their way. And the American military sent Martin Sheen's character down there to go take him out. And I think that's what happened. And Prigozhin said, look, I want to run things. Look at my track record. And he did outperform in terms of winning ground and killing people, beat the Russian military. But he had Gerasimov, this guy Shogun. He detests Prigozhin, detests Shogun. He doesn't like Gerasimov, but he detests Shogun. And I think Putin had to make a choice. And he basically said, through Lukashenko, I think I said his name right, tell Yevgeny that if he gets any closer, he's a dead man.
Yeah.
We're going to open up. I've made my choice. He needs to get out. And by the way, he needs to get out now because I've got the planes warmed up. We know where you are. You're getting here fast, but our jets can get there faster. We're going to unleash hell upon you. And we have a drone with your name on it. You're going to be the first to go. I think that's the message that he got. And now he goes, what's your thought?
Prigozhin said, it was never intended to be an overthrow. It was just a protest because he felt that his guys were being sent into the meat grinder and needlessly being killed or being killed very, very quickly. And they keep sending troops in. So he was going to send a message to Putin and said, hey, these are my guys you're sending in here that are getting decimated, and I didn't like it. Now, some people say that he just simply made this deal. They made this deal with Lukashenko to go to Belarus. The article I read said he was being exiled to Belarus, and I think that's important as well. So the other question is, and I guess the question now, how does the world look at Vlad after this uprising by the Wagner group?
I think they're going to mistake this for a weakening Vladimir Putin, and I think they're making a big mistake. He'll overcome this. I think it's ticked him off. I think it's woken him up. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just doing a military analysis from my own common sense. Put yourself in his shoes, his evil, Dr. Evil shoes. And he's going to ramp it up and ramp it up big time. I think you're going to have a counteroffensive to the counteroffensive coming up, and you're going to see weaponry come out of the closet that people didn't think Russia had, and you're going to see a very, very significant escalation of hostilities.
Because, see, that's the bottom line.
To get the momentum
You
back.
still got a war going on here that's it's a war. We've said it a million times. It's a war of attrition. These guys are in trenches now. It's city to city combat in the city areas, and it's still going on, and there's still people dying. And if it ticks Putin off, there's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I think
he could. Do you think he could pull out the short range nuke?
If it comes to that, he would.
Something like that. I mean, he'll do anything to
because
save
he's been
save
able to
his butt.
successfully convince the Russian people that Ukraine is an existential threat to the very existence of Russia. He's been able to convince that. The polls show that.
Yeah.
As hard as it is for us to believe
guy's
here,
a scary dude. I mean,
and the Russian media is much different. I think he'll control the internet like China does. He'll be his next move to control things. And you have just a lot of people that think differently. You know, it's pointed out to me by my son that Russia, during a period of time, was invaded every 33 years. So this whole time of invasion, we can't really relate to that. We can't relate to, in the modern day times, another country invading our shores. The closest thing to that was Pearl Harbor in 1945. And this generation doesn't remember that or really care.
41.
Yeah. But I think, Prigozhin, I think, people can prefer one group to another and the survival, the health of one group to another. But they prefer themselves to anybody. And I think he knew he was dead man walking if he got to Moscow. I mean, either by the hands of the military, Gerasimov, those two generals, were not going to coexist with Yevgeny Prigozhin. And when he knew that Putin picked a side, he knew he was going to be a dead man, either by Putin's plausible deniability, be kidnapped, whatever. Now Lukashenko, he's got a guy with a history of building up these armies and being very effective, and Belarus has that now.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be useful there for a few years and then meet a very mysterious demise.
Like most of,
like
all of Putin's.
Yeah, pull an Amelia Earhart thing, get in a plane and suddenly disappears off the radar screen.
Well, he's supposedly in exile in Belarus.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So
but
I'm not sure how effective he'll be. So who's going to handle the Wagner group?
No, they're being absorbed into the Russian army.
Oh,
and Putin's given them option. Come, fight for motherland, Russia, go home, or go to Belarus and be with your boss. No, he's given them those three options. I think most of them will be absorbed because he allotted $1 billion to pay the Wagner group.
Well,
they paid well, they eat well. They're the most taken care of.
Prigozhin's a slime ball.
He does do it by Colonel Kurtz, man. That's who he is, man.
But his group is a bunch of convicts and ex-cons and everything, and ne'er-do-wells. There's an old word for you, ne'er-do-wells. So the old phrase, you lay with the snakes, you're going to get bit. I mean, these guys, that's the way these guys play.
But you know what it gets me? And Chris, I think it's horrible. It's awful what he did. Go to convicts, say, hey, you can go fight over here, front lines for your freedom. If you don't get killed, you get your freedom. And how horrible that is. But you go back to the Vietnam War, when we had the draft, we had lost the war. The last couple of years, we were sending our kids over there to a meat grinder with no strategy to win, put them out there in the jungle, basically be killed. And what was the difference? We had a lot of kids back in the day that got into trouble. And the deal was you join the military or go to jail.
Yep.
They chose the military. We hate to admit that about ourselves, but that war, that's why I don't want to see another Vietnam happen in Ukraine. Because that's the kind of crap that happens. That's the kind of disregard for human life. People, you say that? I thought you were a patriot. You dang right. That's why I brought it up. A good country, a patriotic country, does not send their kids off to senseless, unwinnable wars and forces them to. You either go there, or you go to jail, to 18-year-olds. So what's the difference when telling a convict that? And again, those last 2 years, I can tell you, that's why we lost a lot of captains out in the field and majors out in the field by their own soldiers. They said, look, we're not going out there. You get these gung-ho guys coming in, and the whole deal was don't be the last guy to die in Vietnam. That was the troops. That was the thing among the grunts that were out there. So they're been out there. They're just trying to get home.
Yep.
They know they can't win. They're not even going to be allowed to win. And so here, this major, no, we're going to go out and track them down.
Get fragged by your own.
So I got an idea. I think Major League Baseball, Ron Manfred should come up with a private military to protect America. You call it the Honus Wagner Group. You arm them with Louisville Sluggers but they can't smoke tobacco. No cigarettes.
You got to chew.
no chew. Honus Wagner was against you. The Honus Wagner or Wagner group, right? Did you just go in there and you patriotic?
Well, the folks have to know
that I'm just. He's excuse me, Honus Wagner.
He's an old-time ball player in the Hall of Fame, but
whose baseball card is the most expensive. So
he's dropping names on you that you probably don't, unless you really follow the game, don't know who Honus Wagner. Folks,
man!
Just see what I have to,
no
see
machine
what I have
guns,
to deal with.
No
here.
machine guns, just Louisville Sluggers. You go into battle, and you got to wear the baseball cap.
Throw baseball instead of grenades.
You got to throw that beard down there with the thing, the big old uniforms.
You throw the baseballs instead of grenades.
Throw baseball right between the eyes, like David. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you so much.
Are we done already?
We are done. Stick a fork in us. We're done.
Wow.
You gonna be here Friday?
What Friday? Friday's
this Friday.
Is that the
30th? I don't think
it's the first.
Well, God willing, we'll see you.
Yeah.
If not, we'll see you next Taco Tuesday.
You're going to be here Friday.
I'm going to do my best. Good Lord willing.
All right.
Just do your best. Let God do the rest, folks. I promise you it's going to turn out right.
All right.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.